The initially joyful atmosphere of the concert suddenly turned tense in a matter of seconds. Jungkook, who was in the middle of the stage, had just finished the final part of his solo song when a bottle floated from the audience. The moment happened so fast, yet it was enough to make everyone in the arena hold their breath. The resounding sound of music seemed to stop instantly. Jungkook, who is usually always smiling, could only be silent for a few seconds, looking surprised but trying to remain calm. But before the staff could react, someone unexpected appeared from the side of the stage. Jimin. The audience immediately screamed hysterically when they saw Jimin running towards Jungkook. With quick steps, he stood in front of his best friend, as if becoming a human shield. His movements are reflex, thoughtless. In the light of the lamp that highlighted his face, there was clearly a worried look that was difficult to hide. The army in the front row saw it all with their own eyes, and some of them immediately burst into tears. Jimin really protected her, a fan wrote on social media shortly after the incident. According to some witnesses, the bottle was thrown from the audience area quite far from the stage. It is not clear whether it was purely an accident or a deliberate act. However, Jungkook's expression showed that he was genuinely surprised. For a few seconds, he had looked at the audience with a confused face, before looking down and trying to calm down. That's when Jimin went on stage. Without waiting for anyone to tell him, the security seemed to be quick to secure the area, but it was Jimin's presence that made the atmosphere more controlled. He patted Jungkook on the shoulder softly, saying something that the microphone didn't catch, but enough to make Jungkook smile. "It's okay," came a faint voice from Jimin's lips. Cameras on the big screen captured the moment in close-up, and the crowd roared into cheers of support that reverberated throughout the stadium. Army around the world immediately flooded social media with hashtags such as #WeLoveYouJungkook and #ProtectJimin. In a matter of minutes, the moment went viral on X, Twitter, and TikTok. Many wrote that they could not hold back tears when they saw how Jimin, without the slightest hesitation, went straight to Jungkook in the middle of the stage. "He doesn't care what people say, all he knows is one thing: Jungkook should be fine," one user wrote. Several videos from various angles showed Jimin running from the back side of the stage after seeing the object float. One of the staff told the media that Jimin immediately took off his headset and ran without waiting for directions. He didn't even ask what happened. He immediately knew Jungkook needed someone there, the staffer said. When the atmosphere began to calm down, Jungkook looked at Jimin with teary eyes. The moment was so brief, but enough to touch the hearts of millions of fans who watched live and online. They held hands for a moment before both lowered their heads and apologized to the audience for the disturbance, even though they themselves were victims. "Sorry to worry you," Jungkook said in a trembling voice. While Jimin added, "Things like this shouldn't happen in a place full of love like this." The statement was met with loud applause and shouts of "We love you," the whole arena. The camera captured Jimin's still tense face, but he tried to smile. Jungkook thanked everyone present for their support. "You make me strong," he said. Meanwhile, HYBE and the concert security team immediately issued an official statement a few hours later. They confirmed that the incident is under investigation and the offender who threw the bottle has been secured. "We strongly condemn these dangerous acts that threaten the safety of our artists. The safety of artists and spectators is our top priority," the management wrote in a brief statement. But beyond all that, what most imprinted on the hearts of fans was the way Jimin reacted. No one expected that he would appear so quickly, especially in the middle of a concert that was not his own. Some fans who know him know that Jimin has always had a protective instinct towards Jungkook since the beginning of their careers. From heavy training to the difficult moments at the beginning of his debut, Jimin has always been a figure who secretly keeps Jungkook behind the scenes. That night, he once again proved the same thing, only this time in front of thousands of people. One fan wrote on the forum, "Jimin didn't just show up on stage, he showed up at a moment where Jungkook needed someone who really cared." The comment was liked tens of thousands of times. Many also highlight Jimin's facial expression: stern, worried, but gentle. It's not the expression of an artist performing, but the expression of someone who is afraid of losing someone who is important to him, wrote a music columnist in Korean media. A few hours after the concert ended, Jungkook posted a short message on the Weverse platform. "Thank you for all the love and support. I'm fine. Don't worry. And thank you to someone who has always been there for me," she wrote, accompanied by a purple heart emoji. Although he did not give a name, the army knew exactly who he was referring to. The post was immediately flooded with comments from fans around the world. Many thanked Jimin for his courage. Even some international media wrote articles about the moment, calling it the most human moment in a concert. One of the headlines reads, "Jimin steps in to protect Jungkook, reminds the world what true friendship looks like." Meanwhile, Jimin himself did not give any statements after the concert. He just left the location with the staff without speaking to reporters. But the next morning, a photographer captured the moment Jimin left the hotel wearing a black mask and hoodie, looking down in silence. The photo went viral with the caption, "The Quiet Protector." Amid all the hype, many said that this moment will be remembered forever, not because of the bottle incident, but because of the spontaneous reaction that came from sincerity. ARMY considered that Jimin's actions not only showed concern, but also courage when others might choose to remain silent. He is not only a groupmate, but also someone who truly understands the meaning of true friendship. The concert continued quietly. Jungkook sang his last song in a slightly quivering voice, and at the end of the song, he stared in the direction where Jimin had stood moments before. In a low tone, he said, "I will always remember this night. Not because of what happened, but because of someone who came for me." The words again made the audience hysterical. That night, thousands of people witnessed not only the appearance, but also the sincerity of two friends who grew up together on a long journey. They saw how a small act, Jimin's quick step up to the stage, was able to turn an atmosphere full of tension into a touching moment. And for many, that's the reason why BTS has always been different, because behind the sparkling lights and grandiose music, they remain human, with real emotion, sincerity and love. When the stage finally went dark and the audience began to exit the arena, the one thing that still lingered in everyone's minds was that moment. The second when Jimin ran without thinking, stood in front of Jungkook, and left the whole world speechless. A moment that will never be forgotten, because it was there, amid the spotlights and noise, that the true meaning of friendship and courage was seen. After the concert was over, the atmosphere behind the stage was still tense. Jungkook sat quietly in the lounge chair, still holding a bottle of water he hadn't had time to drink. His face looked tired, but not because of his long appearance, but because of mixed emotions, shock, anger, and sadness. He stared at the floor for a few moments before finally hearing gentle steps approaching. Without looking, he knew who it was. "Hey," Jimin's soft voice sounded softly from behind. Jungkook turned his head, and there, Jimin stood with his jacket still on his body, his face a little pale but his eyes attentive. Without saying much, Jimin approached and sat down beside him. He paused for a moment, then said quietly, "Are you okay?" Jungkook didn't answer right away. He looked at Jimin as if looking for answers to everything that happened, then just nodded a little. "I don't know why they did that," he said softly. Jimin took a deep breath. "You don't have to think about it too deeply. People who love you much more than they hate you." The sentence is simple, but it sounds soothing. Jungkook smiled faintly, though his eyes still kept a shadow of the incident. "I didn't even realize who was throwing, but when I saw you running towards me, everything seemed to stop," he said slowly. Jimin just looked at her and smiled softly. "I don't think anything. I just knew you were there alone, and I had to be there too." That sentence made the room instantly feel warm. Jungkook looked down, then laughed a little, a weak but sincere laugh.